Man's will and desires are what play a huge role in the outcome of the world's events. There are many decisions made daily in one's life that may seem trivial and unworthy of mentioning. Then there are those decisions that are considered life-changing. How does one determine how great the effect of a decision will have on their life and the lives of those around them? Far too often, we make decisions every day without giving a second thought to the consequences. How would this decision affect tomorrow? How will it affect next month or next year? We tend to look through a narrow viewpoint that only creates self-centered desires and decision-making.
James Arthur is a faculty member and teacher at Faith Baptist College. He loves teaching at the college and investing his time in the lives of his students. He is also a member of Faith Baptist Church. He has been in the bus ministry for 16 years, and during his time in the bus ministry, he has had many trials and heartaches. However, the increase that God has shown in the lives of those who ride his bus and those who attend his classes are prime examples of why he has stayed faithful. There is a young teenage girl who began riding his bus when he first started his route. She was very quiet and shy. She had a hard time even making eye contact with Brother James as he welcomed her on the bus each Sunday morning.
"Good morning, Natalie," James would cheerfully say. Natalie would reply quietly. James became worried she would never open up and share her feelings and desires with him or the workers. He faithfully prayed for her. He continued to visit her house and pick her up every Sunday morning. And eventually, he enrolled her in Lincoln Christian Academy. Afraid she would not improve, he began to lose hope in helping her become who God had made her to be. Nevertheless, she began to make small improvements, and James and his wife rejoiced in the growth of her Christian life. After she graduated with high honors from Lincoln, she felt God leading her to attend Bible college. There she met her future husband. They both shared a heavy burden for the lost souls in Thailand. The day they left for the mission field, James and his wife prayed with them. James felt like God had given him a huge gift to be able to see Natalie and her husband take the gospel to a place he would never be able to go himself. He was reminded that the entire population, with one exception, is composed of others.
James had a student who took many of James' classes while attending Faith Baptist College. James saw him as a promising young man who could go on to do great things for the Lord. "Well, hi there, Thomas. How are you today?" James greeted him before each class. James saw struggles in Thomas's heart and life and prayed for him daily. James saw Thomas struggle financially and socially. James would offer to help Thomas in any way he could. He offered to let him stay at his home one Christmas when Thomas could not go to his own. James felt the time he was investing would be worth the inconvenience to his already busy schedule. Thomas graduated from the Faith Baptist College with his fiancée. They were married soon after, and Thomas accepted a pastorate of a tiny church in Connecticut. As he had done so many times through the years, James again thanked the Lord for using his influence to help Thomas. Now Thomas was helping others that James would never have been able to help. Again he was reminded that the entire population, with one exception, is composed of others.
Many years had passed. Not all of James's bus riders and college students followed through with what they had been taught. James had many discouraging reports of those who had fallen to the wayside and were no longer attending any church. As the years went by, he started to lose sight of what truly mattered.
There is a fifth dimension beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone.
James, is something bothering you?
Yeah, something's bothering me. I just got a call from Steven, who used to ride our bus a couple months ago. They need me to testify in court.
What did he do?
He stole a car. He's accused of beating his girlfriend and his child and a string of robberies. I just don't understand. We've been in this ministry for how long? And this is the kind of junk we get? Sometimes I wish I could just go back and never do this ministry stuff.
James, you don't mean that.
Right now I do. It would have been so much better if I just kept my plans to be an engineer instead of getting into this ministry. Everybody would be better off that way.
James had lost sight of the fact that the entire population, with one exception, is composed of others. He has been granted his wish. He never came to teach at Faith Baptist College. He never started a bus route for Faith Baptist Church. He never knew there was a little girl named Natalie that needed a father figure in her life. She began drinking to take away her pain. She dropped out of high school. She lived a life in the streets without ever knowing what love really felt like. Every soul she would have influenced in Thailand lived a dark and lonely life. But even worse, they died without knowing Jesus Christ. Without James's encouragement, advice, and support, Thomas dropped out of college. He found himself jobless and directionless. He led a lonely life, forgetting God and all he had wanted to do for him. The hurting church in Connecticut had to close their doors, leaving the town without anyone to show them the true meaning to life.
Story after story could be told of all those that would have not lived the life God had planned for them if James' wish had come true. In one selfish moment, a wish could be spoken that, if granted, could lead to the wreck and ruin of countless lives. All of this proving the statement true that the entire population, with one exception, is composed of others. May we not allow ourselves to become so selfish that we live for ourselves instead of those that God places in our lives whom we can influence.